Hello everyone, I'm Lauren Valdez, and today I want to talk to you about building resilience during this incredibly challenging time when you might be graduating into a difficult job market, or you may be having to figure out, backup plan after backup plan during this COVID-19 crisis. So I want to start by sharing with you all that I graduated in 2009, and that was the height of the economic recession, and it was really difficult to find a job. I moved home into my mom's apartment that was 2 bedrooms, and I had 4 other siblings, and I had to share a bedroom with my 3 sisters. So I was also sharing a bed. And through that time, it was really challenging. In the moment, I felt like my life is ruined. I'm never going to have a good career. I'm never going to have money. I'm not going to be able to date, live with my parents. I had all of these struggles during that time. But actually, when I look back, that time was really incredibly formative for me figuring out the best next steps for my life. I wasn't just sitting at home at my parents' house watching TV doing nothing. Instead, I realized it was an opportunity to explore many, many different things and interests because I didn't have a job, because I had no risk that I was taking. I was already, at the lowest of the low in that situation. And I'm incredibly privileged that I had parents that I can live with and family that could support me without me having to pay rent. But at the same time, I took that opportunity and utilized it to explore different interests and passions of mine. So while I was living with my parents, I enrolled in community college classes down the street from my mom's house. And that was because this was pre-Affordable Care Act, and I couldn't stay on my dad's health insurance without being in school. So I enrolled in all of these fun classes like video production, graphic design, improv comedy. It was just stuff that was really interesting to me. And it was not like school where I had to study. It was stuff that was fun and interesting, and it gave me some structure to my days to be able to just go to school. And then while I was doing that, I also got an internship at a TV show. And I wasn't being paid. It was an online comedy talk show, but I learned so much while I was working there, and I made really interesting contacts in LA. I met a lot of celebrities. It was really interesting and really different than the type of career I planned on having. It was, not related to anything I planned on doing, but those skills I got doing video production, graphic design, those things ended up helping me a lot later in life in my nonprofit jobs and in the work that I ended up doing in the future. And then I started also doing community organizing in my hometown. I moved back home, and while I'm living at home, I'm realizing there are all of these challenges in my own community. I don't need to go abroad to go look at issues. In my own community, have all these things I can address. And so a friend started this blog called The Wilmington Wire, and I started working with her on it, and we started blogging about interesting things happening in the community around pollution, around the refineries, around the port, and I started exploring questions around, how do these things impact the community? I started going to local community meetings, and during that time, I started meeting the city council members, different people in different positions of community leadership, and it was a really formative experience for me to get really involved in my community. And then KQED, a local public radio affiliate in California, they asked me to be a blogger for a series that they were doing called The State of Our Health. And then I started getting paid to blog. And so I started doing those things for fun because they were interesting to me. And what I got out of those experiences was a really powerful network of people who were doing work that was interesting to me. And then I started getting paid to blog through that experience. And so I started creating essentially my own job doing that. And then at the same time, I also applied for a Fulbright fellowship to go do research in Brazil. And the research that I was planning on doing in Brazil was really similar to the issues that I was studying in my hometown. I was looking at pollution in neighborhoods and seeing how it impacts low-income communities. And that was what I was proposing to do in Brazil in the favelas of Rio. The Fulbright is an award that is funded by the U.S. Department of State, where you go abroad to do research or to get a master's or teach English in another country. It's the largest cultural exchange program that is funded through the U.S. government. And through this program, you really have a lot of freedom and opportunity to explore a lot of different things, do a lot of different things. There's a lot of flexibility in the award, but it's also an incredible award for your resume. Like many Nobel Prize winners have also won Fulbright fellowships. So that's why you've probably heard the term Fulbright scholar before. And I had a friend who encouraged me to apply, and she helped me along the way. And I'll link to some sources on applying for the Fulbright Award. But applying for it really takes a long time. It takes like 4 to 6 months to work on a solid application. So while I was, living at home with my parents, I was doing these things, being involved in my community, I also took that time to work on my Fulbright proposal. And I got the Fulbright, but it starts, a lot longer after you apply. Like the application's due in October, and I started working on it right after I graduated college. So I worked on it for like 4 months. So even though I was awarded the Fulbright, I didn't know that I got it until the following year. And then it didn't start till the following year after that. So I started the application in 2009, but I didn't actually go on the Fulbright till 2011. So it was a great thing that it gave me like space and something to do after that time period. For many of you right now, you may be graduating college, you may be considering applying to grad school, applying to jobs. I would also encourage you to apply for something like a Fulbright fellowship. And although, international travel is really limited and difficult right now, by the time you submit an application in October of this year and you wouldn't go until 2022 most likely. So by that time, things might shift, they might be different in terms of international travel. So I want to encourage you all as you're graduating to really just think about, not putting all your eggs in one basket and looking at many opportunities around you. Yes, moving in with your parents might be really challenging, but if you have that option for yourself, you don't have to, pay rent and that kind of things. It's an incredible privilege and an opportunity that you can take advantage of to just explore different things. And just because you're living with your parents and it may be challenging to get a job, that doesn't mean that you can't try to get a job. And while you're doing that, also create other opportunities for yourself. Like how I started blogging and working on the Wilmington Wire. That was just me and another friend and some other people, doing our own volunteer thing, and it turned into something really amazing. It's still been around more than 10 years. So, take the opportunity to really create things for yourself. And then the other thing I want to mention is develop your skills. Try to build skill sets that will be valuable. Like the way I took classes at community college. There's plenty of online classes available for you to test out different fields you might be interested in. When you're in school, there's all these big ideas you have for things you never have time for. Like now, take the time to do those things. Like start some sort of volunteer type program you want to do. Start a freelancing business where you might help people with their writing. Think about the skills you have and how you can maybe market those as a freelancer. When I was in that time period, I did all these random things just so that I can have some cash flow coming in. But then I also was doing these other things that were really fun, like taking classes, interning, and just doing my own projects. And that helped me build a foundational skill set that then became really valuable when I did have jobs. So the last thing I want to leave you with is to just not give up hope during this time, no matter how challenging it is. It's going to be a tough year. It's going to be hard to get a job, but it doesn't mean that those things are impossible. And even within these circumstances, it's something, thousands and thousands of people are going to be going through. And it's not the end of the world. Make the most of it with the opportunities you have in front of you. So if you are still healthy, if you are still able to live with your parents, take advantage of those opportunities to explore things that are interesting to you. Read all the books you've always wanted to read. Start a blog. Do something that gives you joy and that's also building your skills. Get some online certifications and different skills that you want to learn, like Excel or whatever. But do things that are going to help you get through this moment as well as build your skills so that in the future you are making yourself more marketable in the job market or for grad school right now. So I just want to leave you with that, and I'm going to be making more videos over the summer around applying for jobs and applying to grad school, and you can check out some of the resources I've made on applying for the Fulbright Fellowship.